Guys, they're going with plan A. The latest rumor as of this morning is that Apple is going forward with the idea of embedding Touch ID underneath the OLED display, which of course is what I've wanted for the long— okay, you don't want me to keep making about— okay. What am I supposed to talk about, guys? All I do is report what's going on in the news for Apple. So when the headlines on all the social media sites read that they're putting Touch ID under the display, that's great. I'm excited for it. I want to talk about it, but what am I supposed to talk about? Talk more about the new Surface Pro. What do you want me to— oh, it's a little bit better. They increased the price. They removed the Surface Pen. It's not as good, okay? It's boring. Why didn't they call it the Pro 5? I don't know. Talk about the MacBook Air. They're not gonna refresh it. It'll be discontinued any day. If you wanted a lighter MacBook, get the 12-inch MacBook. What about an iPod 7? Oh my god. Okay. Look, you guys read the title. You guys clicked on this, so this is what you're gonna get. So as of the rumors standing right now, we are collectively saying that the iPhone 8 will be available in September. We even have some specific dates potentially. These of course could change, but right now the date is right where we thought it'd be, mid-September. All 3 iPhones will be available: 7S, 7S Plus, and of course the iPhone Edition, which is what I think it's going to be called. Because of the 2 new sized iPhones coming next year that I talked about in my last video, I think next year's iPhones will be called the 8. This year we'll get a 7S and 7S Plus, and that extra phone in the middle that's premium with the edge-to-edge display, vertical dual cameras, Touch ID embedded underneath. All of that will be called the Edition because it's a one-time premium separate iPhone from the primary flagships, and then next year they'll make their jump to the 8. That makes sense to me. I don't think they'll call it iPhone X. I think they'd save that for 2019 for iPhone 10 because, I don't know, Roman numerals are cool. So those will be ready to order this September, and Touch ID will not be on the back. It will not be on the power button. This latest rumor that I really hope doesn't change, though it probably will. Probably any second now there's going to be an article saying, nope, that was falsified. Ming-Chi said that's not happening. Great. Well, I can get excited while I can, all right? You guys can gif that beginning intro thing I did. Me excited for the new Apple Watch. Really hurt my feet. But look, I have a few ideas now that Touch ID is going to be underneath the display. Apple still has a few technologies we don't know about, and I'd like to highlight one of them right now. So first off, if you didn't know, on the Galaxy S8, that on-screen home button actually slightly moves. This is true because on OLED displays, you cannot have the same image or icon on the display at all times or else you get bleed through. That is a big problem with OLED displays. If you leave them on for too long, look at the same thing forever, they will bleed through and leave marks. They will burn themselves into the screen, which is not good. So Samsung's very clever solution to this is to slightly move the home button just a little bit back and forth and up and down. That way none of those lines or nav buttons on that navigational bar they have at the bottom bleed into the display. It's smart, it's clever, and in fact it's necessary, or else every time you're watching a video you'll see your home button burned into the screen. That would be bad. So since the iPhone Edition is taking a similar route in removing the physical home button, if you want to even call it that, it is now able to make the best on-screen home button ever because it has Touch ID built in, something never done on any device ever before. I think Apple should add an always-on display. Maybe not necessarily have the time on at all times, or have the battery life, or even widgets. All you need to have for the always-on display is just highlight that home button on the bottom. That way, when your phone is off and you're not using it, you can still tell it's ready to read your fingerprint and it's ready to be opened because you see that very light highlight of a fingerprint scanner on the bottom of the phone. Now, of course, that fingerprint reader icon can change, right? What if that fingerprint icon changed at different parts of the day? Because if we want this always-on display home button to be on there, even when the phone itself is off, just so that users know where the home button is, don't get confused, just that pattern of the fingerprint reader can change every 15 minutes or so. And that would look really cool too, because your phone would be sitting there and you would just see that fingerprint icon at the bottom warping into different kinds of fingerprints. Of course, it wouldn't show your fingerprint. That'd be kind of creepy and unnecessary. But that would be a great way from avoiding that OLED burn-in problem if Apple wants to have that always-on display on the iPhone Edition. To me, that would make almost more sense than just having a ring at the bottom of the phone that's in the same shape of the iPhone we have right now. That's an even little circle and it's identifiable for an iPhone, but if we're going on the display now, to me, it makes more sense to mix it up a little bit. Remind people that that's a fingerprint reader and a home button at the same time. So maybe they could have one very thin line around that fingerprint reader that just kind of adjusts its diameter throughout the day so it doesn't burn in the screen. And again, options are great. So Apple, if you want to just give users the option to leave that home button off when the phone is off, go ahead. I wouldn't like it that way, but it's just one solution. Now, the other reason to believe that they are adding the fingerprint reader underneath the screen is all these new case leaks. They've been raining down all week. All these new cases that are showing the iPhone Edition is actually wider and taller than an ordinary iPhone 7, so its size is right in between a 7 and 7 Plus. The cases show that the camera bulge on the back is actually a lot wider than a regular old 7 Plus camera bulge. I think this is because both the wide angle and telephoto lens on the back will both have optical image stabilization, so they needed that extra bulge in there, as well as just spacing for that flash in the middle. Because a lot of people are saying that with that flash in the middle, when you're taking a photo, there will be glare because the flash and the lenses are so close together. I don't think Apple would make stupid mistakes like that. I think they're thinking this through, and they've tested it and made sure there won't be a flash glare problem like that. And a con of that was you had to make the camera bulge a little bit wider. But the important thing to remember is there's no hole cut out on the back of these cases, and there's not an exposed area for the power button for those people thinking that they would put Touch ID on the power button, and that's why it's wider. This rumor is claiming that's not true, and I don't know why the power button's like elongated like that. Maybe it's just Apple being different for some reason. I don't know. Something identifiable about it. Maybe having a bigger home button is actually nicer. It makes it easier to find and click and turn off. I don't know. Maybe it's just one of those little continuity tweaks they discovered. So this makes me extremely excited for the iPhone edition. This means it is following all of my wish list. I love that OLED giant display. It's going to be the largest iPhone display ever. Wireless charging, better waterproofing, better cameras, better processing, better battery life, and a whole new array of software tweaks because the physical home button has removed and they're just writing it on the screen. 3D face scanning, dual front-facing camera kind of technology, iris scanner. So much to look forward to. What are you looking forward to? You guys think this rumor is bullcrap? Let me know, and I will tell you why I hope you are wrong, but probably could be, possibly, potentially. There's too many adjectives in the sentence. True, because even if there's Touch ID on the back of the iPhone edition, I'm not gonna hate it. I'll still buy it and review it for you. I am an optimist. Respect me. This is your Apple Sheep here, and I will see you in the next one.